All right, while we're getting ready to move on to exporting our project and prototyping, I want to also show you one more cool feature that Adobe XD has. This is really useful when it comes to working with multiple screen sizes and device sizes, and especially when you're working on a web project. But this feature called Responsive Resize allow your designs to work on multiple screen sizes rather than just the one over here. So right now we've set up this iPhone display size here for our artworks, and they're all the same in terms of the width particularly. So just as an example, if our devices run a little bit larger, right now you see our designs start to kind of fall apart. They don't really fill the entire section. So if you do start stretching the width of our devices based on what device you're looking at this design on, the design might not start working. And so that's why Adobe has put together this feature called Responsive Resize. And what I really like about XD is that it does a lot of the work for you using the auto responsive resize mode. So essentially with responsive resize, you can allow your elements inside of the screen to be able to, as the name suggests, resize based on what the display size is. So as an example, in this profile menu page, we're going to go ahead and turn on the responsive resize. And then what will happen is that now our objects in this artboard will go ahead and resize as I shrink or expand my screen size. And as you can see, the auto mode does a pretty good job. There are certain things that could be improved, but overall, it's pretty nicely done in terms of how it handles the responsive resize. But then when it comes to certain elements, such as this name over here and the text in these buttons, we can go ahead and fix those so that it actually works flawlessly. And so the way to do that is to actually go ahead and click on a certain element in that artboard. And then over here, as we can see, for each element, we get an auto option in terms of the responsive resize and a manual option, or we can go ahead and altogether turn that off. But by default, all the responsive sizes are on and on the auto mode for each object inside of your artboard. But if you go ahead and click on this manual option, now all of a sudden you get some certain options for your object here in order to be resized manually by how you'd like it. And using these options over here, we can go ahead and fix this object to certain sides of the screen. So essentially, if we do this option over here, when it turns blue, this means that now this object will be fixed to the left. And of course, we can combine multiple fixes together, such as the left and the top. So now what will happen is that this text box, no matter what the width and the height of this artboard will be, will always maintain this certain pixel from the left side and this certain pixel from the top of the design. So with these options enabled, now if we go ahead and expand our design, you'll see that text box won't move because it's maintaining that spacing from the left and the top side. Similarly, if we do shrink the design, as you can see, the text box now won't move up anymore. We'll go ahead and maintain where it is in terms of the spacing from the top. But if you go ahead and disable that now and just do fix left, now as you can see, the text box will start moving regardless of the spacing from the top. So for example, for this button here, now again, most of the things will be done manually by XD, so you don't need to do a lot of tweaks, but you can go ahead and apply manual responsive resizes for certain places. And if you want to keep elements together like these button sets over here, when you do group something together, it will go ahead and maintain that spacing or that proportion between those buttons. So in that case, if we do, for example, shrink the artboard size, the group will be untouched and it won't mess up the spacing between them. Now, what would happen if we select this image, for example, do a manual resize, and we actually go ahead and turn off the fixed width and the fixed height? What will happen then? Well, what you'll notice now is that as the artboard shrinks or expands, that image will go ahead and actually scale with respect to the size of this device. Whereas if we go ahead and undo that and actually go ahead and fix its width and height, no matter how much we stretch this artboard out, the sizing of that image won't change. And so that's what the fixed width and fixed height do. So again, we can go ahead and enable responsive resize in multiple artboards and see how they work out. In some artboards, it's almost flawless and you don't need to make any changes at all. Whereas in other artboards, you may need to make some tweaks, such as this one over here for the address. We can go ahead and group these two together and then set a manual resize and fix the width. But then one issue will be that now it's aligned to the left side because it's always going to be fixed to the left side, because as you can see, we have the fixed left. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off so that it will be centered across the display, which is what we want. And so now that looks much better. So as an exercise, you can totally go through the design, go ahead and enable responsive resize on any artboard that you want, and go ahead and play around with it until it looks right. And again, on certain pages and certain designs, you may need to make tweaks and change it, whereas on other ones, it will work just as you expect. For example, we could totally see on an iPad display, something like this would look good for the past orders page. So that's one of the reasons why responsive resize is so powerful. So go ahead and take this time to pause and explore more of the artboards and try to apply responsive resize until things look good. And don't be afraid to jump in and make certain tweaks to your object. So as an example, in this menu page, you'll see things kind of start falling apart with these texts here. So of course, what you'd want to do is apply a fix left manually to all these text boxes. So as an exercise, I'll leave this menu page for you to do. And remember, you can apply the responsive resize in the main component themselves. So you can go in here and change the responsive resize of each element in your component, and that will be applied just like everything else with components to all your instances of that component. So as an exercise, take a pause here, go ahead and apply responsive resize to the menu page and the cards here specifically, and then we'll do that together in the next lecture.